Tom Hanks walks into an audition for a villain role in 1982, reads the lines perfectly, impresses everyone in the room, and then does something nobody expects. He stops mid-scene, looks at the director, and says 5 words that should end his career. "I can't do this role." The director thinks he's quitting. The producers think he's insane. But what Tom does in the next 8 minutes doesn't just redefine the audition, it creates the Everyman brand that makes him the most beloved actor in Hollywood, proves that knowing what you're not is as important as knowing what you are, and teaches an entire industry that authenticity isn't about playing every role, it's about playing the right roles. This is the story of how Tom Hanks failed an audition on purpose, how refusing to be a villain made him a hero, and how 8 minutes of radical honesty changed the trajectory of modern cinema. Los Angeles, California, September 1982, Tuesday afternoon, 2:15 p.m. A casting office in West Hollywood, small production company, low-budget thriller called The Midnight Caller, about a serial killer who poses as a phone crisis counselor, lures victims, kills them. Dark, disturbing, the kind of film that makes audiences uncomfortable. That's the point. The role being cast is Michael Brennan, the killer, the lead, not a supporting character. The entire film, 45 minutes of screen time, dozens of scenes, monologues, the opportunity every struggling actor dreams about, a lead role, a character with depth, a performance piece. Tom Hanks is 26 years old, been acting professionally for 5 years, done TV work, guest spots, Happy Days, Taxi, Family Ties, small parts, forgettable parts, the kind of work that pays bills but doesn't build careers. He needs a break, needs something substantial, needs a role that makes casting directors remember his name. This could be it. The villain, the serial killer, the dark, complex, disturbing character that wins awards, that gets noticed, that proves you can act, that separates you from pretty faces and sitcom guest stars. Tom's agent called 3 days ago. Excited, "I got you an audition. Lead role, indie thriller, dark material. But it's a lead, Tom, real screen time. This could change things." Tom said yes, immediately, because you always say yes. You take every opportunity. You don't turn down lead roles, ever. Tom prepared, read the script, studied the character, Michael Brennan, 32 years old, charming, intelligent, articulate, works as a crisis counselor, talks people off ledges, saves lives during the day, kills them at night. Duality, contradiction, the monster hiding behind the helper. The character is well written, disturbingly well written. The writer understands psychopathy, understands how killers think, how they justify, how they compartmentalize. Michael isn't a cartoon villain. He's real, believable, the kind of killer that could be your neighbor, your friend, your counselor. That's what makes him terrifying. Tom memorized the sides, the audition scenes, practiced in his apartment, in his car, found the character, found the voice, the cold calculation behind warm words, the emptiness behind the empathy. Found Michael Brennan, and Tom is good, really good. He can play this, can access the darkness, can make the audience believe. But something feels wrong, has felt wrong since he started preparing. A discomfort, a resistance. Tom can't name it, can't articulate it, just feels it. In his chest, in his gut, a wrongness that won't go away. Tom ignores it, pushes through, because this is the job. You play characters, you inhabit people who aren't you. That's acting, that's the craft. You don't have to like the character, don't have to agree with them, just have to play them truthfully, and Tom can do that. He's sure he can. Tuesday, 2:15 p.m. Tom walks into the casting office. Small waiting room. 3 other actors, all reading the same sides, all preparing to be Michael Brennan, all wanting the same thing Tom wants: the lead, the break, the chance. Tom sits, waits. The discomfort is worse now, louder. The script pages feel heavy in his hands. He reads through the monologue again. Michael explaining to a victim why he kills. Calm, rational, chilling. You called the crisis line because you wanted someone to care. And I do care. I care about your pain. I care about your fear. I understand it better than anyone because I've studied it. I've explored it. And the only way to truly understand suffering is to be the one who creates it. You're not a victim. You're a teacher. And I'm grateful. The words make Tom's skin crawl. Not because they're badly written, because they're brilliantly written, because he can imagine saying them, imagine making an audience believe them, and that feels wrong. Feels like crossing a line he didn't know existed until now. The casting assistant calls his name, Tom Hanks. Tom stands, walks into the audition room. It's small, white walls, a camera on a tripod, a table with 3 people behind it. The director, Marcus, mid-40s, says, intense, wearing all black. The producer, Ellen, late 30s, sharp eyes, business professional. And the writer, David, early 30s, nervous energy. This is his script, his vision, his killer. Marcus says, Tom Hanks, thanks for coming. You've read the script? Tom says, yes. Marcus says, good. We're looking at the monologue on page 47. Michael explaining his philosophy to Sarah. You know the one? Tom says, yes. Marcus says, great. Whenever you're ready. Tom looks at the script, reads the first line in his head, feels the discomfort spike. Louder now, impossible to ignore. But he starts anyway, because this is the audition. This is the job. This is what you do. Tom begins. You called the crisis line because you wanted someone to care. His voice is perfect, calm, warm. The vocal quality of someone trustworthy, someone safe. The mask Michael wears. Tom continues, accessing the character, finding the coldness underneath, the calculation, the pleasure Michael takes in control, in fear, in power. Tom performs for 90 seconds. The full monologue, doesn't stumble, doesn't break character, delivers every line with precision, with believability, with a disturbing authenticity that makes great villains unforgettable. He finishes. Silence. Marcus is staring. Ellen is staring. David is staring. They're not moving, not speaking, just processing what they just witnessed. Then Marcus says quietly, that was perfect. Ellen nods. Really perfect. You found something there, something real, something unsettling. David, the writer, says you understood him. Michael, the way you played that line about gratitude, that's exactly what I intended. Exactly. Marcus says, Tom, that was an exceptional read. Honestly, one of the best auditions we've seen. I think you just booked this role. We'll need to do a callback, formality, but I'm confident you're Michael Brennan. Tom should be thrilled, should be celebrating. Just booked a lead role. Just proved he can act. Just changed his career. This is the moment every struggling actor dreams about. But Tom feels sick, physically sick. The discomfort that's been building for 3 days is now overwhelming, crushing. He can't breathe, can't think, just feels wrong, completely wrong. And Tom realizes something, realizes it with absolute clarity. He can't do this role. Not because he can't play it, because he can. That's the problem. He can access this darkness, can make an audience believe he's a killer, can spend weeks inhabiting this character, living in this mindset, saying these words, embodying this evil, and it will change him. Not forever, but enough. Enough that it matters. Enough that he'll carry it. Enough that he'll become someone he doesn't want to be, even temporarily, even for a role. Tom looks at Marcus, at Ellen, at David, 3 people who think they just found their killer, 3 people who are about to be very confused. Tom says, "I can't do this." Silence, complete silence. Marcus blinks. Tom says, "I can't do this role. I appreciate the offer. I appreciate your time, but I can't play Michael Brennan." Ellen says slowly, You just gave a perfect audition. You have the part. Are you saying you don't want it?" Tom says, "Yes, I'm saying I don't want it." Marcus looks angry now. Why? Why audition if you don't want the role? Tom takes a breath, tries to explain something he barely understands himself. "When I was preparing, I felt something, a discomfort. I ignored it, thought it was just nerves, but it wasn't nerves. It was my gut telling me this isn't right. This character isn't right. Not because he's badly written, because he's brilliantly written, because I can play him. I can access that darkness. I can make him real. And that's the problem." David says, "I don't understand. You're an actor. You play characters. That's the job." Tom says, "You're right. That is the job. But I'm realizing something. Not every character is my character. Not every role is my role. I can play Michael. Technically, I have the skills, but I shouldn't, because playing him will require me to live in his headspace, to understand his justifications, to make his evil believable. And I don't want that in my head. Don't want to spend weeks embodying someone who hurts people, who manipulates suffering, who finds pleasure in pain." Marcus says, "It's fiction. It's a character. You're not actually becoming a killer." Tom says, "I know, but the line between character and self is thinner than people think. Method acting isn't just a technique, it's immersion, and immersing yourself in darkness, even fictional darkness, changes you, maybe temporarily, maybe subtly, but it changes you, and I don't want to be changed in that direction." Ellen says, "So you're turning down a lead role because it's too dark, because it makes you uncomfortable?" Tom says, "Yes, because discomfort is information. My gut is telling me this role isn't aligned with who I am, and I'm choosing to listen." Marcus stands up, frustrated. "This is insane. You just delivered a perfect audition. You have the part, and you're walking away because of some feeling." Tom says, "Yes." Marcus says, "Do you know how rare this opportunity is? Do you know how many actors would kill for a lead role, and you're just refusing it?" Tom says, "I know, and I'm sorry. I wasted your time. I shouldn't have auditioned if I wasn't sure. That's on me. But I'm sure now. This isn't my role." David, the writer, speaks, quieter than the others. "What if we changed it? What if we made Michael less dark, more sympathetic?" Tom shakes his head. "That's not the problem. The problem isn't the character. The problem is me. I'm not built for this. I can play it, but I shouldn't, because it's not true to who I am." Then Tom says something that shifts the entire room. "Can I tell you what I think I am built for? Can I give you 8 minutes to explain what I just figured out about myself?" Marcus sits back down, still annoyed, but curious. Fine. 8 minutes. Explain. Tom doesn't prepare, doesn't calculate, just speaks, from the place he's been avoiding this whole time. The place of radical honesty. The place where you stop trying to be what the industry wants and start being what you actually are. Tom says, I'm not a villain. I'm not a killer. I'm not darkness. I'm the opposite. I'm the guy you root for, the guy you trust, the guy who makes you feel safe. That's not ego. That's not self-aggrandizement. That's just what I am. When I look in the mirror, I don't see complexity. I see simplicity. I see decency. I see the everyman, the regular guy, the person who does the right thing. Not because he's special, but because it's the right thing. Tom continues, and I know that's not prestigious. I know villains win Oscars. I know dark, complex, morally ambiguous characters are what critics respect, but that's not me. I'm the guy who helps the old lady cross the street, who returns the wallet he finds, who tells the truth, even when lying is easier. I'm boring. I'm predictable. I'm safe. And for years I've been trying to fight that, trying to be more interesting, more complex, more edgy. But I'm not. And this audition made me realize I don't want to be. I want to be the good guy. The hero. The person who makes audiences feel hopeful instead of disturbed. Marcus says, that's limiting. You're boxing yourself in. Tom says, maybe, or maybe it's liberating. Maybe knowing what you're not is as important as knowing what you are. I'm not Michael Brennan. I'm not the serial killer. I'm the guy who stops the serial killer. I'm the detective, the father, the friend, the decent man, trying to do the right thing in difficult circumstances. That's my lane, and I'm choosing to stay in it. Ellen says, but playing against type is how actors grow, how they challenge themselves. Tom says, you're right, but there's a difference between challenging yourself and betraying yourself. I can challenge myself by playing a father who loses a child, a soldier struggling with PTSD, a man facing moral dilemmas. Those are challenges. But playing a serial killer isn't a challenge for me. It's a betrayal, because making evil believable requires empathy, and I don't want to empathize with evil. I want to empathize with good, with struggle, with people trying to be better. That's where my empathy lives. That's what I'm built for. David, the writer, is listening intently now, not defensive, just listening. Tom says, your script is brilliant. Michael is a great character, but he needs an actor who can go there, who wants to go there, who finds that exploration meaningful. I'm not that actor, and pretending to be is dishonest. To you, to the character, to myself. Tom looks at all three of them. I know this sounds like I'm quitting, like I'm giving up, but I'm not. I'm choosing to be the kind of actor who plays the kind of characters that align with who I actually am, and who I am is simple, decent, hopeful, the everyman, the guy you trust, the guy who makes you feel like the world isn't completely broken. That's not every role, but it's my role, and I'm okay with that. Silence, long silence. Marcus looks at Ellen. Ellen looks at David. David looks at Tom. Then David says, I respect that. I actually really respect that. Most actors would take the role and phone it in or force it. You're saying no because you know it's wrong for you. That's integrity. That's rare. Marcus says, still frustrated but softening. So what now? You walk out and we find someone else. Tom says, yes, find someone who wants to play Michael. someone who's excited by that darkness, someone who can do justice to David's writing, and I'll go find roles that let me be who I am, the good guy, the everyman, the person audiences root for. We'll both be better off. Tom stands, extends his hand to Marcus. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm sorry I wasted your time, but I learned something today. Learned what I'm not, and that's worth more than a lead role I'd be wrong for. Marcus shakes his hand, doesn't smile, but doesn't look angry anymore, just looks thoughtful. Tom leaves, walks out of the building, gets in his car, sits there for a long time, processing what just happened. He turned down a lead role, turned down the exact kind of opportunity his agent said he needed, turned down the break, but it doesn't feel like failure. Feels like clarity, feels like clarity, feels like alignment, feels like the first honest decision he's made in his career. Tom drives home, calls his agent, explains what happened. His agent is furious. You did what? You turned down a lead role. Are you insane? Do you know how hard I worked to get you that audition? Tom says calmly, I know, and I'm sorry, but it was the wrong role. I'm not playing villains. I'm not playing darkness. I'm playing good guys. Everyman. Heroes. That's my lane. And I need you to understand that. If you can't get behind that, I need a new agent. His agent is silent, then says, You're serious? Tom says, Completely. His agent says, Fine. Everyman, good guys, heroes, I'll focus on that. But you just made my job a lot harder. Tom says, Maybe. Or maybe you just got clarity on what to pitch me for. No more serial killers. No more villains. Just regular guys trying to do the right thing. There's a market for that. I'm betting on it. 6 months pass. Tom auditions for romantic comedies, for dramedies, for the nice guy, the love interest, the hero. Gets rejected. A lot. Casting directors say, too vanilla, too boring, too safe. We need edge. We need complexity. But Tom doesn't give up, doesn't audition for villains, doesn't compromise, just keeps showing up for the roles that feel right, the roles that align. Then something happens. March 1984, a script lands on his agent's desk. Splash, a romantic comedy about a man who falls in love with a mermaid. The lead role, Alan Bauer, a regular guy, sweet, confused, decent, trying to figure out love and life and magic. The everyman, the good guy, the person you root for. Tom auditions. Doesn't have to force it, doesn't have to access darkness, just has to be himself. Sweet, charming, relatable, human. He books it. Splash releases in 1984, makes $69 million. Becomes a hit. Critics write about Tom. Impossibly likable, the kind of actor you trust. The everyman we've been waiting for. Then Big, then A League of Their Own, then Sleepless in Seattle, then Philadelphia, then Forrest Gump, then Apollo 13, then Saving Private Ryan, then Castaway, then Captain Phillips. Role after role, character after character. All good guys, all heroes, all everymen, all people you root for, all people who make you believe in decency, in goodness, in hope. Tom Hanks becomes the most beloved actor in Hollywood, not because he played villains, not because he was edgy, not because he was complex, because he was consistent, consistently good, consistently decent, consistently the person you trust. And it all traces back to September 1982, to the audition he failed on purpose, to the role he refused, to the 8 minutes he spent explaining who he is and who he isn't. 20 years later, 2002, Tom is giving a masterclass at AFI, teaching young actors. Someone asks, "What's your advice for building a career?" Tom says, "Know what you're not. That's as important as knowing what you are." I learned that in 1982. I auditioned for a serial killer, nailed the audition, got offered the role, and I turned it down because I realized I can play that, but I shouldn't because it's not true to who I am. And spending your career playing roles that aren't true to who you are is a waste of your time, of your talent, of your life. Tom continues, "The industry will tell you to be versatile, to play everything, to challenge yourself, and there's truth in that, but there's also truth in specialization, in knowing your lane, in saying this is what I do, this is who I am, and I'm going to be exceptional at this, instead of mediocre at everything." A student asks, "But don't you limit yourself? Don't you miss out on great roles?" Tom says, "Maybe, probably, but I also avoid roles that would make me miserable, roles that would require me to live in headspaces I don't want to inhabit, and the roles I do play, the good guys, the everymen, the heroes, I play them fully, completely, with everything I have, because they're aligned with who I am, and that alignment creates authenticity, and authenticity is what audiences respond to. They don't want me playing a serial killer. They want me playing the guy who stops the serial killer, and I'm okay with that, more than okay. I'm grateful for it." Another student asks, "Do you ever regret turning down that role in 1982? Tom thinks, then says, "No, because that role going to someone else meant it went to the right actor, someone who could do it justice, someone who wanted to explore that darkness, and me turning it down meant I was available for splash, which led to everything else. That refusal created space for the right roles to find me, so no regret, just gratitude for knowing myself well enough to say no." The student asks, "What happened to the film, The Midnight Callers?" Tom says, "It got made, different actor, did well at festivals. The actor got noticed, built a career playing villains, and that's perfect. He found his lane, I found mine. We're both where we're supposed to be." But Tom doesn't tell them the rest of the story, the part he learned years later, the part that confirmed everything. The actor who played Michael Brennan, his name was Robert. He did build a career, playing villains, playing darkness, for 15 years, won awards, got critical acclaim, but in 1997, Robert quit acting, completely, walked away, because, as he said in his only interview after quitting, "I spent 15 years living in the heads of monsters, and it changed me, made me darker, made me someone I don't want to be. I was good at it, but it wasn't good for me, and I wish I'd realized that earlier. Totes, I'd wish I'd said no when I should have said no." Tom read that interview, thought about 1982, about the audition, about saying no, about listening to the discomfort, about choosing alignment over opportunity, and Tom understood he didn't fail that audition on purpose. He succeeded at something more important. He succeeded at knowing himself, at protecting himself, at choosing integrity over ambition. That's not failure. That's wisdom. That's the choice that made everything else possible. What role are you playing that isn't yours? What character are you forcing because you think you should? What darkness are you accessing because the industry says it's prestigious? And what would happen if you said no? If you failed the audition on purpose? If you chose alignment over opportunity? Tom Hanks did, and he became the most beloved actor alive, not despite refusing to be a villain. Because of it, sometimes the most important auditions are the ones you fail on purpose, with clarity, with certainty, with 8 minutes of radical honesty about who you are and who you're not. The villain role went to someone else. The everyman roles came to Tom, and 40 years later, he's still the guy you trust, the guy you root for, the guy who makes you believe in good. That's not limiting. That's legendary. September 1982. 8 minutes. One refusal. One career defined, not by what Tom played, by what he refused to play. That's not failure. That's foundation.